705 Rail Fade Productions video. Today on this dreary, cold, and wet April morning, we're out trackside in Berea, Ohio, and what would turn out to be a super successful day. Our first train of the day would be a CSX eastbound Autorack train, presumably heading to Buffalo, New York's Frontier Yard. The next train to come would be NS-20T, a priority intermodal train from Kansas City, Missouri's Volts Yard to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania's GI-18. We're going to have a race here at Berea. Looks like we have a CSX eastbound coming in hot. Intermodal. As you will see here in a few seconds, a CSX eastbound train would be racing this NS Intermodal. The next train to come will be filmed inside my car because it was snowing and it was an unexpected catch. Anyways, this train symbol for this train would be CSX I-166, a priority intermodal train from Schuyler Park, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, Illinois, to Montreal, Quebec, which turns into Canadian Pacific Train 143 outside of the United States and into Canada. As you can see, we move locations and we're out just outside of the place we were last time. Anyways, this is CSX train Q334, which comes out of Columbus, Ohio's Parsons Yard and terminates in Selkirk, New York, with a cut of trash loads at the beginning of the train with mixed freight towards the end. Finally, our next NS train would come into view, and this would be one of our best of the day. The train symbol for it was NS-20Q, a high-priority intermodal train from Chicago, Illinois' 47th Street Yard to Morrisville, Pennsylvania, with NS-8025 leading the way, the Monongahela Heritage Unit. If you look closely towards the back of the video, you can kind of see a CSX eastbound intermodal racing NS-20Q. As you can tell, our next NS train would be unexpected, and this would be the start of rush hour for NS. The first NS train would come into view would be NS 546, an empty coal train from Monroe, Michigan to Shire Oaks, Pennsylvania, and it runs as needed. As you can see, this train had a little bit of color on it, which would be 3 Union Pacific GEs. Our next NS train of the day would be an NS westbound, our first one of the day, which would be NSW09, an extra NS309, coming from East Binghamton, New York to Elkhart, Indiana. This train will be stopped for a while because of a couple of NS trains coming through. Anyways, this train would have a Kansas City Southern leader and a BNSF trailing second. If you can't tell, the second engine will be surprisingly CSX 5500, the Spirit of Cincinnati. This was an unexpected catch, and I didn't even notice it first because it was so far away.
No, this is Q568, my bad. Q568. Walbridge, Ohio to Selkirk, New York, Walbridge, Ohio to Frontier Yard in Buffalo, New York, makes manifest daily.
Next NS train to come into view was an unknown NS eastbound intermodal train with an NS Ace trailing second. Another unknown east-westbound intermodal train clears Berea. Another westbound NS intermodal train. The symbol for this train would be NS21Q, a high-priority intermodal train from Rutherford, Pennsylvania to Chicago, Illinois, carrying some trailers and some stacks. Just 5 minutes later, what do you know? Another westbound NS intermodal train clears Berea. I unfortunately did not get the symbol for this train. As you can see in the video, another CSX train appears. I did not get the symbol for this train, but it had a nice cut of Herzog cars in the beginning of the train. The next NS intermodal train to clear Berea would be an eastbound, which would be NS20R, a priority intermodal train that would work Maple Heights 45 minutes later. Notice with the ace leader and the BNSF trailing second. If we waited a little longer, the next NS train would soon come into view, which would be NS17N, with the new Ferromex paint scheme trailing second. In my opinion, it looked pretty nice, but comment your opinion down in the comment section below. Unfortunately, this did not have NS1800 with it. It went later that day on an NS out of Conway, Pennsylvania, eastbound. Next CSX train of the day would be another eastbound CSX Autorack train. I do not know the symbol or destination for this train. Next NS eastbound stack train of the day would be the best catch of the day by far. This train would be NS26E, a priority intermodal train from Chicago, Illinois to Morrisville, Pennsylvania, with the following NS8101, the Central Georgia Heritage Unit leading the way, a UP second, and NS8114, the original Norfolk Southern Heritage Unit, third out. This train was especially special to me because next CSX train, seen from a distance, would be CSX Q364, a daily mixed manifest train out of Avon, Indiana to Selkirk, New York. And it had two DPUs on this train, which was not filmed in this video. One would be a UP, and the second would be a CSX GE. Next NS eastbound intermodal train of the day would be NS22W, a high priority intermodal train from Chicago, Illinois to Rutherford, Pennsylvania. I am very sorry about my fingers touching the camera, my camera pulling off the tripod, because if you could see in the background of the video, another CSX train just passed. Our next NS eastbound train of the day will come very shortly after that CSX manifest passed, which would be an NS unknown grain train, which I believe is going to Crescent, Pennsylvania, but I could be wrong. Our next CSX
Here's
train of the day was another eastbound stack train. This time NS I-010, a priority intermodal train from Bedford Park, Illinois to Worcester, Massachusetts. We're back right by the Berea Depot, and I was hanging out with my friend Jimmy when an when a CSX hotshot intermodal train, another eastbound, to Berea. The crew gave us a splendid horse show. I did not get the symbol for this train, unfortunately. After that CSX intermodal cleared Berea, we would see NS32N creeping past, which would later stop to wait for 15N to use the crossover to continue on M1. NS32N comes out of Decatur, Illinois and terminates in Conway, Pennsylvania. Notice the crusty NS engine second and the CSX GE third out. NS32N was still slowly creeping by. A surprise CSX eastbound manifest sped through Berea. Notice the BNSF grain cars on the first half of the train. I did not get the symbol for this train, but I am almost positive this would be heading to Selkirk, New York. You can barely see it because of the CSX eastbound train still rumbling through, but NS15N makes its way past with 32N still creeping by. So this would make for a three-way train meet, which would be another three-way train meet to me, which would be my 7th three-way train meet that I've seen, which is pretty good because three-way train meets are really rare. We moved to the next morning as I see on Facebook that a surprise NS eastbound frac sand train would be approaching Vermilion. I quickly drove out to the tracks in Avon Lake, and it was an amazing lash-up consisting of an UP Ace leader, a UP GE second, and a Union Pacific third, formerly painted over as the Southern Pacific Heritage Unit. And on the rear of this train would be a UP DPU, which would also be a repainted Green Pacific locomotive, formerly a Southern Pacific locomotive. After that frac sand train passed, we drove down to Bedford, Ohio, home of the NS Chicago line and the Wheeling Lake Erie Akron sub. Our first train would come 5 seconds after we arrived in the Walgreens parking lot. And it turned out it would be an eastbound NS intermodal train consisting of J.B. Hunt stacks. Finally, after waiting nearly 45 minutes, The train we came out here to catch finally came by, which would be NS 1073, the Penn Central Heritage Unit. This is the frac sand train running under symbol as 60E, which comes out of Bensonville, Illinois, and terminates in Mingo Junction, Ohio. Yesterday, this power was switched out with 61T to Middletown, Ohio's AK Steel. After doing some stuff on the east side of Cleveland, we find ourselves located in Wendy Park in downtown Cleveland. This park was really nice, and you notice the new drawbridge that just opened a year ago goes right over a branch of the Cuyahoga River in the NS Chicago line, hosting 80 trains per day. Our first train would be nearly 10 minutes after we got there, which would be NS 21Q, a high priority intermodal train coming from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania's GI 18 and terminating in Chicago, Illinois. Notice the BNSF H1 third out. This is happening to a lot of NS intermodals lately for some reason that I do not know why. Our next train shortly approaches, heading over the Cuyahoga River drawbridge. It would be an eastbound NS intermodal train consisting of some trailers and rolling stock. I did not get the symbol for this train, unfortunately. Our next eastbound NS train to come would be NS 24M, a priority intermodal train from Chicago, Illinois' 63rd Street Yard to Bayview Yard in Baltimore, Maryland. This train consists of J.B. Hunt in the front and a couple of other stack companies towards the end of the train. Last train to come of that day, and the last train in this video would be a good one, which would be NS16G, a daily mixed manifest train coming out of Chicago, Illinois' BRC clearing yard, which terminates in Conway, Pennsylvania. This train did not have any John Deere tractors today, which was very strange. But notice the BNSF and Canadian National Foreign Power mixed in there. I appreciate everyone who is watching this video. Please smash that like button and turn on post notifications and hit that subscribe button if you enjoy my channel. Thank you everyone for the support lately, and let's get to 200 soon. But that's all for now, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.